Dear learners, a very good morning. Today we are going to discuss about the communication system, an important aspect of the electronics, communication electronics. Communication is the process of establishing a connection between 2 points for information exchange, or we can simply say that it is the basic process of exchanging the information. The electronic equipments which are used for communication system are called communication equipments. Different communication equipments, when assembled together, form a communication system. Typical example of communication system are line telephony, then we have a line telegraphy, radio telephony, radio telegraphy, radio broadcasting, etc. We have the basic communication system. The essential components of the basic communication system are the information source, input transducer, transmitter, then we have a channel, a receiver, and output transducer. Now, these all basic elements form a basic of communication system. We'll go discuss one by one. First, we'll discuss what is an information source. Information source, we generally have three types of information sources. The first thing is that the information can be in the form of voice, like speech or music, or it can be in the form of text or pictures, or the information can be in the form of digital data, like data generated from a computer. The first basic element of the basic communication system is the information source. The communication system has been developed for communicating the useful information from one place to another. This information can be in the form of sound signal, such as our speech or music, or it can be in the form of pictures like TV signals or photographs, or it can be in the form of data information coming from the computer. The next basic block, it is an input transducer. Now, a transducer is a device which converts one form of energy into another form. The information in the form of sound, picture, or data signals cannot be transmitted as it is. First, it has to be converted into suitable electrical signal. An input transducer is used to convert the input signal, that is in the form of either the voice or picture or digital data, into a suitable form. An input transducer is used to convert input signal into a time-varying electrical signal. The input transducers commonly used in communication system are microphone and TV camera. For example, in case of radio broadcasting, a microphone converts information or message which is in the form of sound waves into corresponding electrical signal. So this is regarding the input transducer. So we have discussed about the two components, information source and input transducer. Before going to a transmitter, I will revise. Information source can be in the form of the voice, like the speech or music, or it can be in the form of picture, or it can be in the form of data, digital data, which is coming from the computer. Whereas the input transducer is used to convert this information into suitable time-varying electrical form. Now we will move to our third point, that is called as a transmitter. So what is the function of a transmitter? A transmitter is used to convert electrical equivalent of information to a suitable form. Because our voice or music or pictures cannot be transmitted as it is. Therefore, the transmitter is used. Now, the transmitter increases the power level of the signal also, because whenever the signal is transmitted from one place to another place, the signal gets diminished and the power level decreases. Therefore, the power level should be increased in order to cover a large range. The transmitter consists of electronic circuits such as amplifier, which is made up of the transistors, a mixer circuit, an oscillator circuit, and a power amplifier. This is regarding the transmitter. Our next block is the communication channel. So what is a communication channel? The term channel means the medium through which the message travels from transmitter to a receiver. The communication channel is the medium used for transmission of electronic signal or information from one place to other. The communication medium can be a conducting wires, or it can be cables, or it can be an optical fiber, or it can be a free space. Depending on type of communication medium, there are two types of communication systems. The first is called as a wire communication or line communication, and second one is called as a wireless communication or radio communication. Now, what is a line communication? As we have two types of systems, what is a wire communication or line communication? The wire communication uses, the line communication or wire communication uses the communication mediums like simple wires or cables or optical fibers. The examples of such systems are telegraph or telephone lines, cable television, etc. Due to the physical constraints or physical connection between one point to another, these systems cannot be used for communication over longer distances. But the use of conducting wires, cables, optical fibers, coax cables makes the line communication effective for short distance communication. The next point is related to the wireless communication or radio communication. The radio communication uses the entire free space in the globe or universe as their communication medium. They do not use or need wires for sending the information from one place to other. The radio or TV broadcasting, satellite communication, mobile communication are the examples of wireless communication. These systems transmit the signal from one place to the other place using a transmitting antenna in the free space. The transmitted signal is in the form of electromagnetic waves, radiation. A receiving antenna will pick up this signal and feed it to the receiver. Radio communication can be used for long distance communication, such as from one country to another country, like India to US or US to India, like this, or even we can communicate from one planet to other also. Now, the next important thing is that when the information is communicated from one point to another point, the noise gets added to the information signal. What is noise? Noise is an unwanted electrical signal which gets added to the transmitted signal when it is traveling towards the receiver. Due to noise, the quality of transmitted information will degrade. Once added, noise cannot be separated out from the information. Hence, noise is a big problem in communication systems. The noise can be either natural or man-made. What are the examples of natural noise? Can you guess? Lightning, radiation coming from the sun, radiation coming from the stars. These are the examples of the natural noise which gets added to the information signal when it is transmitted from one point to the another point. Whereas the man-made noise includes the noise which is produced by electrical ignition systems of automobiles, welding machines, electrical motors, etc. Even though we cannot completely eliminate the noise, its effect can be reduced by using various techniques. Now, next point is related to the receiver. Receiver is an important aspect in the communication system. The reception is exactly opposite process of a transmission. The main function of the receiver is to reduce the message signal in electrical form from a distorted received signal. The received signal is amplified, demodulated and converted into suitable form. The receiver consists of electronic circuits like a mixer, an oscillator, a detector and amplifier. Now, the received signal, which is basically electromagnetic wave, it is given to the output transducer. Now, the next component is output transducer. The output transducer converts electrical signal at the output of the receiver back to the original form. Means, for example, we are communicating, then our voice which may be a speech or music, can be converted back into voice or speech or music. If we have communicated the TV picture, it can be converted back into the TV picture. So in this way, the output transducer converts the electrical signal at the output of the receiver back into the original form. The typical examples of output transducers are the loudspeaker, picture tubes, computer monitor, etc. These are the examples which are used for as a output transducers. Now, this is regarding the basic communication system, wherein we have discussed about the what is communication, what are the different basic components associated with the communication system. Communication is the process of establishing connection between 2 points for the information exchange. And as we have the different components associated with this basic communication system, the elements are information source, input transducer, a transmitter, channel, receiver, output transducer. So for example, we are communicating by sending the information. For example, I am speaking, you are listening. That is also one example of basic electronic communication system. Now, my voice, whenever I speak, my voice, it is converted to electrical signal by using a microphone. Now, this microphone converts the sound signal into time varying electrical signal. Now that is given to the next block. This is input transducer is a microphone. Now that is given to the transmitter. Now transmitter increases its power level, as well as after increasing the power level, after amplification, it converts this into the another form, suitable form. If it is a line communication or wire communication, you can have electrical signal, or if it is optical fiber, it will be electromagnetic radiation. If it is a wireless communication, the signal could be the optical radiation, that is electromagnetic wave. Now such a wave or electrical signal, it is passed through a channel. As I already pointed out, the channel could be either wire or wireless. In wire, we have copper cables, coax cables, optical fibers, whereas entire free space can be used for the communication in wireless communication. Now, some noise gets added to the signal. Noise is unwanted signal that is always added to this. As we have discussed, there are two types of noise, natural or man-made noise, and both are present. It is very difficult to remove the noise, but there are now techniques, electronic circuits, which can remove or minimize the or reduce the noise level. Such a signal, it is given to once noise is added, the signal is received by the receiver. At the receiver, we have electronic circuits like mixer, oscillator, detector, and amplifier. Receiver converts the original signal back into the original form. And such a signal, it is given to the output transducer. Output transducers basically are loudspeakers, and the computer screens are used as the this particularly output transducers. Now, this was regarding the basic electronic communication system. Now we will discuss in the next point, just we will highlight what are the different the types of the electronic communication systems. We'll go one by one. So what are the different types, or how the electronic communication system can be classified? The electronic communication system can be classified based on three techniques. What are those? Based on the direction of communication, means whether the communication is one way or it is two way. Based on this, whether it is unidirectional or bidirectional communication, the communication system can be classified. Now, depending upon the nature of the information signal, we can have analog communication system or digital communication system. Based on the technique which is used for transmission, we have baseband communication or modulated signals. You may have heard the words amplitude modulated signals. You may have heard FM, AM, PM. These are nothing but the communication systems based on the modulation scheme. Means basically the communication system is classified as whether the system is unidirectional or bidirectional, whether the signal is digital or analog, or whether the technique used is baseband technique or the some types of modulation it is used. Now again, the electronic communication system, based on unidirectional or bidirectional can be classified into three types: simplex systems, half duplex system, and then we have a full duplex system. So we'll go one by one. What is a simplex system, what is a half duplex system, and full duplex system. In simplex system, the communication it is in one direction only. This is the example of unidirectional system. For example, we receive signals from FM radio, we receive signals from TV broadcasting. This is the example of simplex system, that is, which is basically TV or radio. This is the example associated with the unidirectional system. In this system, the information is communicated only in one direction. For example, I have quoted television and radio broadcasting. Now, another example of simplex system is information transmitted by the telemetry system of a satellite to Earth. Always satellite is sending the data on position, temperature, geographical location by using the satellite. That is also the example of simplex system. Now the second system, it is a half duplex system. Now in this system, this is the example of bidirectional system. Means we can transmit as well as receive the information. But the half duplex system, the best example of half duplex system is a walkie-talkie. Now in walkie-talkie, you may have seen either we can send the information, we can receive the information, but we cannot transmit and receive simultaneously. Means we cannot transmit the information simultaneously at a time. Either we can transmit or we can receive. So the best examples are transceiver and walkie-talkie for this. Transceiver or walkie-talkie. Now the next point, it is related to the full duplex system. Full duplex system, it is the example of the bidirectional communication that allows communication to take place in both ways. Now mobile communication, it is the best example of full duplex system. We speak on a mobile, simultaneously we can receive the information on the mobile, or a video call or a Zoom call. These are the examples of full duplex system. Now based on the nature of information signal, we can have two types of communication system: analog communication or digital communication. Now what is analog communication? If the information signal, it is a sinusoidal varying signal, means such a type of signal, then such a system, it is called as a analog communication system. And if the information signal, it is in the form of binary 0 and 1, like this square wave. So such a type of binary 1, 1, 0, such a type of signal or information communication system, it is called as a digital communication system. Now based on this, we have two types, that is analog and digital communication. Then based on the technique of a transmission used for communication, we have another two types that are called as a baseband communication and communication based on the some type of a modulation. Now what is this baseband communication? The information or input signal to a communication system can be analog, for example sound, picture, or it can be a digital, for example a computer data. The electrical equivalent of this original information signal is known as a baseband signal. Dear learners, in baseband transmission system, the baseband signals, original information signals, are directly transmitted. For example, the telephone networks, where the sound signal converted into electrical signal is placed directly on the telephone lines, that is copper cables for transmission. Another example of baseband transmission is the local area network or intercom communication system, which is used in the premises. But the baseband transmission has certain limitations. What are those limitations? The baseband transmission cannot be used with a certain mediums. For example, it cannot be used for radio transmission where the medium is free space. We require wired communication for baseband communication or baseband transmission. This is because voice signal cannot travel longer distances in air. It gets suppressed after a short distance. Therefore, for radio communication of baseband signals, a technique called modulation is used. Next, our point is related to the communication using modulation. Now, in the modulation process, two signals are, namely the modulating signal and carrier is used. The modulating signal is nothing but baseband signal, while the carrier is a high frequency sinusoidal signal. In the modulation process, some parameter of the carrier wave, such as amplitude, frequency or phase, is varied in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. This modulated signal is then transmitted by the transmitter. The receiver demodulates the received modulated signal and gets the original information signal back. Thus, demodulation is exactly opposite to the modulation. And in the process of modulation, carrier wave actually acts as a carrier which carries the information signal from transmitter to receiver. Now, this is about the classification of electronic communication system. So, based on the different types, we have a different communication systems. Whether your communication is either unidirectional or bidirectional, we have three types of systems, that is simplex system, half duplex system and full duplex system. Based on what type of information signal you are communicating or sending, we have either analog communication or digital communication. And based on the technique used for transmission, you can have a baseband communication or you can have communication using modulation. In communication using modulation, the most popular schemes are AM, FM, that is amplitude modulation, frequency modulation and phase modulation. So this is regarding the basic electronic communication system and classification of communication system. Thank you for listening.